Just got back, guys. I was in Catalina and on vacation with my folks and had a lovely couple of days. It was very fun. Catalina's a fun island. And, I don't know if, I know I said this was Music Monday, so, it was very nice, yes. I know I said this was Music Monday, so we do a little bit of music talk, which I totally want to do. I even wore my t-shirt for today. I wore, this is a band called Bleached. I recommend checking them out if you haven't yet. But, to tie it into Music Monday real quick here before we kick in, when I was on Catalina Island, I went to a restaurant and I saw a girl in a GBH hoodie, and that really struck me. I was like, is there a punk scene on this island? That was what I could not help wondering. Is there a punk scene on this island? And it made me wonder, I don't know if you've ever been in a weird, obscure place. Not obscure, I mean, obviously Catalina Island is not obscure, but it's a small island that's about 7 miles in length total, and I think a total of 4,000 people live there. So you kind of wonder, like, what they have as far as subculture and stuff like that goes. And I've certainly been in places before where I've wondered that. And, you should definitely check out Bleach, Daniel. They're very good. I saw them open for Against Me, and prior to that, I had heard them on Sirius XM, not known who they were, and they're quite good. But, so, and I bring this up because years ago, I was in Florence, Italy, and I was studying abroad, and I really wanted to know what was the subculture like in Florence, Italy. You know, what was the punk scene like in Florence, Italy? I was really curious to know that. So, I found a record store. It took me a while, but I found a record store that sold exclusively vinyl. So I go in there, and my Italian was just good enough to, like, ask the guy what I was looking for. And I was like, dude, where can I find some punk rock? What's the scene like here in Florence? And he looked at me like I asked him, where can I find an alien that's an aggressive gray or something like that. I go, where can I find, and he goes, punk rock in Florence? And he just goes, no, dude. And I was like, all right, I guess so. But a couple weeks later, because I was studying abroad for a summer semester, so I was there for 6 weeks. A couple weeks later, there was this street punk show that was just going on in the middle of the town square, and it was nuts. Everybody had a dog with them, and it was this Crust band that was one of the most intense Crust bands I ever heard. And I'm not a big Crust punk guy. Like, I'm not big. I mean, I've seen GBH before. I respect it for what it is. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's just not really, not really the type of music I connect to as much as other genres of punk rock. But I was still just so blown away to just be in that moment, and I just thought this was the coolest thing. Like, here I am in Florence, Italy, and I'm witnessing this true crust punk experience. And then one of my old professors that was also in Italy at the time that I saw there, he got really drunk, and he told me this story about when a bunch of Italians beat up Fugazi. I'm a Fugazi fan. I mean, I'm not... and it wasn't... I mean, everybody was okay. No one got seriously injured. But I guess Fugazi was trying to say that they were, hardcore socialists or whatever. And the Italian punks were like, no, you're not. You're a bunch of American posers. And Fugazi was like, no, we're not. And then they fought each other, and they beat up Fugazi. Allegedly, that was what was going on. I don't know if this story's true, because the professor that told me that was kind of a bullshitter when it came to everything. So, whether there's any truth to that story, who knows? But it's a story he told me, and I remember that story when I was on Catalina Island, and I saw a girl in a GBH hoodie, and I thought, man, I wonder if there's any punk rock on this island. And I wanted to ask her, but she was working. That was the other cool thing. She was working at a restaurant, which was really neat. They let you work in a GBH hoodie. I thought that was neat. And she So I wanted to ask her, but I was like, she was working. You know, she's busy. Rollins was beat up by Gene October of Chelsea. That's not the story Rollins tells. Excuse me. That's not the story Rollins tells. The professor was Italian. Yes, the professor was from Italy. Yeah, the way Henry Rollins tells it, Gene October backed down. That's the way he tells it and get in the van. But what the truth is, I guess we'll never know. I've never heard Gene October's side of the story. But the way Rollins tells it, he was kind of surrounded. October intimidated him. And then, again, a second time when it was just one-on-one, October was intimidated by Henry Rollins. I don't know. I don't believe that. Gene October is full of shit. Maybe. I have no idea. You believe Rollins? Well, then Rollins didn't get beat up. If you believe Rollins, he did not get beat up then. By his telling of the story, he was certainly not beat up. Danzig was hiding from Jerry Only. I'm assuming you mean Jerry Only. He was going to beat the shit out of him. Well, they're all friends now. They all get along now. And there actually is a video of Danzig getting punched out on the internet. I don't know if you've ever seen that. But this guy messes... it was one of the opening acts. And he punches out Glenn Danzig. I don't know if you guys have seen that video. You know, I'm not a big fan of fighting. I don't like it. But, you know, curiosity led me to that video. But Rollins is pretty egocentric. I could see him bullshitting about that fight. Yeah, I mean, he controls the narrative, right? It was his book. I mean, he talks about that fight extensively and get in the van. And it wasn't really a fight, according to him. According to him, it was, you know, Gene October was with a bunch of his friends, and it was just Gene October and Henry Rollins. And I think maybe Greg Jim was there, too. So I guess technically Gene October was outnumbered in this, for instance. But it was just like him and Rollins mano-a-mano. And according to Rollins, Gene October just got out of there. Chris Swan says, Glenn brought that fight on, yeah. Glenn Danzig was not being a cool guy. There's no doubt about that. And yeah, the video is out there on the internet. Hey guys, thanks for watching. That was a clip from Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means I log on to a stream and people tweet me articles over on Twitter at Ron Placone, or they use our Reddit subsection, which is just Get Your News On with Ron over on Reddit. And that's how we build the show. I'm seeing all these articles for the first time. We are literally getting our news on together. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone so you can participate. And this show streams live every Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please do tune in. If you want to support this show, you can do so over on patreon.com/Ron Placone, where for as low as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive podcasts every week, exclusive videos, free tickets to shows when I'm performing in your town, and more for as low as $1 a month. Please do consider it. Thank you so much for your support. This has been Get Your News On with Ron.